What game did you play this month? Wrap us up, big boy.
I played Amnesia Rebirth, which is the third installment in the Amnesia series. It came out in 2020. It's a survival horror game, I guess. It was developed and published by Frictional Games. It has also received a follow-up indirect sequel, I believe this year or last year, with the fourth installment. It's first person and it's scary. There isn't much here, to be honest, which is weird because it is a kind of narrative driven experience in a sense. It is very, not just because it's literally done through first person, but the game is primarily about puzzles and staying alive and whatever, and kind of embodying your character. But the character was kind of boring. You play as Tassi Trianon. You're a drafter on an expedition, basically. You're part of like a research group and you crash land and you're the only survivor and blah 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 blah. Your memory's gone, hence amnesia, and you start to get little pieces of stuff back in your brain as you scavenge through the desert and a bunch of underground tunnels to find notes of how the other people survived, etc., etc. It sounds like for these games, especially, despite the fact that the previous two games had been released, I think almost at least like 5 years beforehand. Like, this is not some like very quickly. Yeah, it's a sequel to The Dark Descent from 2010. So it took them 10 years to make this, or at least to get to the point where they wanted to put out another game. It's not. This shit's just not that deep, bro. Like, which is kind of disappointing. Because this is one of my special brainworms of like types of horror games, the kind of I guess System Shock-esque like first person sim, which can mean a million different things, but there's definitely a vibe that if you've played one, you know. Just the character work was really uninteresting here. It wasn't horrid. It wasn't like it was really bad. The voiceover was fine. The puzzles were easily the largest gameplay element and actually the thing I struggled with the most. Maybe because I'm stupid or maybe because they're not good puzzles. I couldn't tell you. You know, can never really tell. But like the thing that's driving why you want to play the game, being the story and the background and trying to figure out what happened and all that, just wasn't that appealing. As the mysteries unfold, they're just kind of, I don't know, standard. Like, wow, turns out you're not the only survivor, and actually some of the people that you survived with are bad guys, and I don't know, scientists do bad scientist things. I guess the largest chunk of the lore that I did find interesting, which it seems to be mostly disconnected from the other games, like none of them are direct sequels to each other. It's more of like a gameplay formula. Just aliens, which is cool, and I like that. There's another dimension, which is also cool, and I like that. It takes a while for it to get rolling. It's not a very long game. I think average like campaign completion is like 10 hours or something like that. But the first like two or three are very standard. Like, I am in a desert and I should get out of the heat. It's hot. Ow, ow, ow. Like, I don't know. It felt really poorly paced. Some of that might be due to preference or, I don't know, my mood or whatever. But it did not feel particularly well spaced out. A lot of events took a long time to build up to, and then there'll be a lot of things that just kind of unfold back to back to back. And it's like, oh, holy fuck, that's a lot of information. And that's very distracting, because when you go into the actual lore in terms of how it's written, all of the notes and like the background information, I do think that is done well. It's just the subject matter isn't as interesting as I was hoping it was going to be. Turns out you were pregnant, so of course you got to have, you know, that whole additional survival element added on, because then you end up giving birth like in the game, and it's plot relevance. There's a bunch of shit around that I won't tell you, but like it just feels like I've kind of been here and done that, which is weird because I can't name you one example, but it just comes across as a bit too trope heavy. The art style is pretty good. My biggest gripe with that is that I was actually playing this on my PC, and because of that, I had to turn down a lot of the fucking settings to get it to run correctly, because I don't have some massive mega PC. Like, I don't have a full rig. I have a decent laptop, and I think that really took away a lot from the art style. It just made it feel a lot cheaper than I think the game was intended to be. I think a lot of the art style is done through the lighting effects and the atmosphere and like particle effects and all of that sort of stuff that you kind of, it's set dressing, I guess. But when you start pulling back the resolution and the settings, it greatly impacts that. So it ends up feeling really stripped down, because the gameplay loop is incredibly simple. It's basic movement mechanics, sprinting, crouching, walking, etc. There is no combat in this game. Unlike the previous games where there is like minimal combat, if you end up encountering an enemy, you either run or you die. And if you die, you just get pushed forward in the game, which is also new for this entry. It will basically just jump over said enemy encounter, which is really weird. It sort of ties in with the weird dimensional bleeding alien stuff, but not really. It just kind of felt like a way to accelerate how quickly the game was moving. Instead of having you keep trying the gameplay encounter over and over again, it would just go, cool, you skipped 5 minutes in the future, deal with it. I guess I respect it. I just don't really know why they did it. Again, because there's literally no combat gameplay at all. Most of the enemy encounters are very, very contextual, because it is primarily derived off of a fear system, which I do love. It is great. It's basically, the longer you're alone or in the dark, you get more freaked out. The screen will have more distressing shit on it. Your heart rate will accelerate, etc., etc. And basically you start seeing shit, which will include enemy encounters to, like, for the most part. So if you just wander around in the dark without like ever turning on a lantern or lighting a match, you're gonna die in about 3 minutes, maybe. You just go insane pretty quickly, which tracks, but it does make it hard to tell which encounters are like fear induced or which ones are like part of the primary like campaign experience, in terms of like enemy placement and how all that works. It's kind of difficult to explain. There's just a lot of overlapping systems, which I think is a testament to it as a positive, because I can't really tell what is because of my own stupidity and what is the game actually trying to challenge me. But it does make it harder to dissect. The sound design is excellent. It was very discouraging when my headphones started acting up pretty recently, and when I was maybe halfway through this game, so I ended up having to play it on the speakers, and that was lame. I think the vast majority of the atmosphere is done through the sound design, as well as just knowing there is a fear system. Not even necessarily that the system is doing anything, but just that it'll have like little audio cues and remind you like, oh yes, there is shit moving around in the dark. And because it's not a combat-based game, like there's nothing you could really do to fact check the game on whether or not it's lying to you. Like there isn't, it's really hard to tell whether or not there's actually shit out there, or if the game is about to pull something out of its ass just to fuck you over, or if you're just being stupid. Like, and I think that makes it really exciting, I guess. It works really well for that sort of survival horror part of the game. The puzzles are kind of, I don't think they're good. I also suck at them, so I just really can't say. But whenever I would get stuck, it was because of a puzzle. And very frequently not because it was a very clear, oh, you're now in a puzzle area. It's like, oh, where's this damn door key? And then I have to go scrounge around like 4 different areas separated by loading screens to go try to find a key, and the keys aren't labeled or whatever. And it feels very sloppy, I think would be the best way to put it. It just doesn't feel super directly, it's just not intuitive. It's very, there's one spot in particular that I got stuck at where you basically have to construct an elevator, and I was like, fucking what?
That's doesn't something else that Doom failed at the movie, is like they didn't even do the color-coded doors. Like, what are you doing? True.
But like there's a spot where you'll go uncover like a construction manuscript, and you get stuck in an area, and it's like through just fucking around. You have to figure out, you have to like drag over a bunch of different parts from around the area, again through the dark, so it's already difficult to tell where you're going, and then basically assemble them to get like a functioning like lift. I like it as an idea, but it doesn't feel like it ever really tells you you're about to do a puzzle, which makes it immersive, but it also then takes away from the kind of like Tomb Raider-esque, like, I'm in a desert, I'm in a fortress, I'm gonna go find a thing. I don't know. It's not trying to be over the top about it, so it doesn't really seem like a valid criticism to be like, oh, it wasn't super contextualized and like fucking obvious that I had to do these things. But it then makes it really frustrating when my PC is kind of chugging and I'm just trying to figure out a damn puzzle. And like, wait, can I actually, like, am I remotely in the right ballpark with this, or am I just fucking around for no reason? This was decent, all in all. I do plan on checking out their other games, whether it be the rest of this series or just their previous series, which was Penumbra. It's another like first-person survival horror thing. I do want to check those out because this is a very, I guess, a high effort type of game to make, but I was just very frustrated with this one. I do think a lot of that is probably because I played on PC. I should probably just move back to console because then the game will be presented in a way that makes a lot more sense, and I don't know, it'll just be a generally more intuitive, because I'm already working on a keyboard and mouse, and that's just not how my brain works. So doing that with a type of game that's already meant to be difficult and kind of confusing was probably not the right choice. I bought it for $5 digitally though, so not too bad. I don't even remember what sale it was. It was just bumping around in some survival horror, and I was like, oh, that's got good reviews and it's cheap. I should try that. So it wasn't a waste of time by any means. I'm interested in continuing with the series and the studio, but I don't think I'm going to replay this one in particular, like, probably ever. Maybe I'll boot it up on Xbox just to see how different it functions when it's in a more constrained environment, I guess, with pre-built settings and stuff. I'm just not a PC gamer, man. Like, it's a general gripe, and it makes it hard to specify what is a problem with the game and what is just, I don't like playing games on PC.
You know, there's a way to hold special buttons on your Xbox controller and make it work on your PC, so you can eliminate the keyboard and mouse just like that.
I can, and I did actually try that, but it wasn't that much better because it's just a weird control layout. It still doesn't function like the Xbox game because it's still playing on my PC.